Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this new episode of the SF show. I'm Emmanuel, double feminine SIFE, bless, sleep, play, consume, and I will be your host for today's show. We will go over the SIFI Sleep SF with Hannah today. But first, let's review the latest episode, which was about the SF consume of Maria. Maria, what was your outtake of last episode?
Well, my takeaway from last episode was that hindsight is always 2020. I feel like in the moment, I think this just kind of speaks to Hannah's question of how like consume and player are like working together. I feel like in the moment, I probably said a lot of things just trying to grab whatever comes into my mind in the moment, but reviewing it kind of in my own time, there was a lot of things that I was like, okay, I'm catching on now and things are a little bit different and I see things a little bit different. So I think probably one of the things that I took away was don't take my word for anything that I tell you in the moment. You want to know how I really feel about something, give me 2 weeks and then you'll know.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. So guys, what was your outtakes of Maria's, the consume SCFI?
I found it very interesting just to see gathering for self over gathering for others, so to speak, because she talks a very similar language that filters in nicely to my head, but it's more naturally of the function. She puts herself first, then the tribe. So when she's talking about her fashion sense, I'm like, yeah, I totally understand it being SF as well, because we're both gathering, but then where the F and T kind of switch. So like we'll both look at what's fashionable, but then I'll go, oh, there's a particular way to be fashionable. Like I will have a logic on how to be stylish. Not to say that she doesn't have it, but just mine becomes, in the most layman's terms, more introverted about it.
Thank you, Samuel.
You're welcome.
Hannah?
Yeah, I think that I realized that I understand it less than I thought. We talked a bit about your actual interests, the things that you like to consume in the areas of interest. And you talked a lot about psychology, and I guess we're all interested in that. So I think it would be in the future, I really want to learn more about how you consume, for example, psychology, because I think that's really where the difference is. It's not like the area of interest per se. Yeah, so that was really cool to hear that you were saying, so my consume thing, it's not fashion or whatever necessarily. It could be pretty much anything.
Nice. And for myself, Maria, I really enjoyed to see the truth of your wording, like how you were into the answers. And, we talk a lot about authenticity. And just before you did it, like you speak true about where you stand at the moment, or where you stand, and giving us even like, okay, I think I stand here, but maybe I didn't, gathered everything that I know about me in this area. So I need 2 weeks and everything. So I think this is very nice way to communicate too. So this is what I took from it. Yeah, it was a nice episode. And we are doing the SF show for because we are part of a community. And we reached together, we shared through OP, and we wanted to share to everyone. So now it's time for the shout out. I'm just very happy to know that some people are giving feedbacks about they think the show is interesting, or conversation and way how we open up to everyone to expand the understanding. It's well received. So thank you for watching us and giving us those nice feedbacks. Who wants to do a shout out?
Yeah, I guess I could shout out to Leslie Mosley from, I hope I didn't butcher your name, from YouTube, my one and only fan. Thank you very much for commenting. I'm Woo! Yeah, it was almost crickets in the comment section. But thank you, Leslie Movie, for commenting, and also just giving me an opportunity to just share some wisdom, because I'm like trying to find different opportunities to blast. So thank you very much for giving me that opportunity, and thank you for commenting and engaging.
Nice. Who else?
Okay, I'm gonna go next. Of course, we have to shout out Reggie, who has plugged us in multiple of his episodes with way too much like appreciation. Thank you, Reggie. And I hope that in the future we can like have a bit of more of a back and forth, maybe in the context of our shows on. I think you had some really interesting thoughts, also things that I never really thought about or considered, and that was really interesting to think about. And yeah, thanks for plugging us. Free ads.
Yes. He's definitely our biggest hype man.
Yeah. Samuel, do you have anyone you want to shout out?
Yeah, I could do myself for still being here.
Showing self-appreciation.
UDEs nice. Give yourself love too. So they.
Oh no! Nice. But is it such a pain in the ass to be with us, Samuel?
I'm gonna stop the. I'm gonna tone the FE down because it's just gonna come out too much. But yeah, I'm gonna ignore those. When I put things in the calendar, and I know I've already put them there, and then it gets closer to the date, I kind of just want to change it naturally. So then I get agitated about it. But it's just as an individual, maybe don't want to be controlled. So I'm just like, because I like to leave it open. As you know, beforehand, we had a talk just to the people watching, and Emmanuel was like, we need to actually schedule a date, which triggered me. And I was like, no, I don't want this. Calm down, but that's just the natural thing that we have. So I'm patting myself on the back. I'm ascending.
Yeah. Can I just say, Sam, you're even sitting like a god king. Like the way you're just so laid back, you're like, please, like, don't. This is my house.
I'm recognized. I'm going to eat up the compliments. Thank you.
Yeah, so great. Yeah, so yeah, shout out to you, Samuel, for doing all those. Yeah, thank you so much.
It's basically Sam and his harem here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Samuel and friends.
I have to think about that. I'm not that sure, but yeah, okay. But he's enjoying himself, so that is great. You should be your own harem. Yeah, you know.
Okay, so let's carry on now, because
yeah. Do you want to control me? I'm the one that hosts this episode, Samuel. So leave me in charge. No. Yeah. So this episode is about the SIFI sleep, the SF sleep, which is incarnated, represented by Hannah, who is with. Yeah. So, my lady, would you give us how you perceive the other SFs from your place, the SF sleep? Could you give us this view, please?
Yeah, I thought about this a little bit because we talked about it in the previous episodes. And I want to say, like, upfront that I think that when we encounter someone who's not like in our quadra and speaks a different language, sometimes it can be really hard to get on board with their message if we don't align with this person on something. So if someone would normally trigger us, maybe on the flip side, if we have some similar values, we trust the person, then we can get on board and it can really help us to change perspective. So I want to look at it in terms of like the best and the worst of how I perceive you guys, not you as people, but your SF. So I'm gonna just start in the order that you guys appear on my screen. So Maria, when I'm gonna talk about the bad first, just to make it a sandwich compliment.
The shit sandwich compliment.
Shit sandwich. I think for me, the SF consume, to me, it's the epitome of consumerism. And if you have consumed last, consumerism is the antichrist. So SF consumes, I see them on a societal scale as the ones who caused all the waste that I then have to clean up in my job, and who just pile and pile clothes and then never wear them. And they are just made out of plastic, and it's just a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
That's the negative side. And then on the positive side, when I met you the first time, which was in 2021, I think, at the meetup, you were telling me about all the things that you had done on your trip before coming to the meetup. Just you by yourself, traveling a little bit, just checking out things. And that to me it's mesmerizing. It's such a confidence of, I'm interested in this, I'm allowed to go there if I want to. And I know like there's a level of knowing yourself, knowing what you're interested in that I just don't have in the consume. And I've been thinking about that moment for a long time, because you were just like, yeah, I was just, I wanted to check it out. And it's also almost like you're in a secret society with yourself, a secret consumer society. And I think that's wonderful. Like, I really admire that. And then moving on to Sam, who's next? Like, on the negative side, sometimes people who embody the SF play type, those are the kinds of people who make me cry on a Tuesday morning because they are poking at my feelings, and I'm like, but why are you trying to make me cry? Please, let's not talk about my feelings now. I don't want to process all of that. And then they just like, oh yeah, that's fine. I'm like, but I'm not fine. So that's the negative side of it. But the positive thing is that because you're seeing the spectrum and you're kind of trying to help people with the DE side of your play, I feel like you're really doing a service to people by also telling them where they belong on the spectrum, so that they feel like they belong and that they can improve based on where they fall on the spectrum. And I think that's really something that I can't do. And it's just a really quick and light way of helping people. And the lightness of the SF play is helpful if you're stuck, because it embodies some kind of a growth mindset. You're light, you're not stuck, you're not attached. You can just move here, and that's where you belong. And you can move, but you're on the spectrum, you're fine. So that's what I admire about the SF play, if that's making any sense.
Can
and then
you tell me some more, please? No.
God,
and then with the SF blast, I have a bit of a similar reaction as Maria has. Like sometimes it feels controlling. And I think it depends a lot on who the person is that's blasting. Like I wouldn't want some kind of an actual preacher to tell me how to feel and how to treat my elders. That's like the negative side of it. Like I don't want to like be part of a cult that writes Christmas cards to their elders just for them. And it does feel controlling sometimes, but because there's the SI in it, when I do admire the person in some kind of way, on some kind of level, it's easy for me to take their perspective and see where they're coming from. And I think especially, Emmanuel, a lot of your blasts have been immensely helpful for me personally, because I understand your language, but you're also putting me on the spectrum. So it hits me directly. And that's really a positive thing for the spectrum part of it. So yeah, I don't know if that, yeah. Do you guys have any?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question if that's okay. First of all, Hannah, that was such a beautiful blast, by the way. The way that you speak and the way that you synthesize like everything that you say is just so eloquent and neatly packaged, and you really are a queen. Okay. But the other question I had was you said about sleep, something about you are more likely to, I think, take on or interact with somebody if they have some kind of respect for you or something like that. Do you find that happens a lot? Like, do you find that you have few people that you can really like see respect, or is that like...
I mean, I think it's a really good question. I know I respect a lot of people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I see them as part of my sleep. And it's a really big challenge for me to just be playful and be open with people when I don't see them as part of my sleep. And that has a lot to do with shared worldviews or shared values or shared philosophies or shared life paths. And it's been a real issue for me of feeling isolated from those that are not in my sleep because I feel disconnected to them. But that's really on me. But it took me, I think without OP, I wouldn't have understood why I feel that way and that it doesn't mean anything bad about me, but it's just my function. So I can still connect with these people, not take myself so seriously.
Yeah. So how would you interact differently between somebody who's in your sleep and someone who isn't?
I think that, well, that's a hard question. That's a good question. It's a hard question. I think that someone who is in my actual FI sleep, I'm a lot more honest with them about where I'm at in life, like actually sharing my sleep. And with other people, it's easy for me to discuss things like philosophy or something like that with whoever, or work matters because I don't feel that personally attached to it. But as soon as it goes into things that I use for my own sleep's sake, I want to be sure that I don't dislike or mistrust the people that I'm sharing that with. Not because I feel scared that they could hurt me, but because I'm a bitch and I don't think that they deserve my sleep.
Love it. Shout out to the bitches, the FI.
Oh, that's interesting.
No, I want to form a close bond with them. It's not even that I think that I'm above them, but if I don't like someone, I don't want to connect with them on a more intimate level. I want to keep them out. That's why.
Relatable.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hannah, what do you think people get wrong about the SIFI sleep?
Well, I think similarly to what we get wrong about any kind of animal is that a lot of the people that we see of a similar type tend to have similar interests or life piles. That doesn't mean that we can't use the specific animal in other areas. And I think that people tend to see SF sleep as more narrow than it is, or as more closed off to the spectrum than it is. I think that we have a very personal view of the SF, but that doesn't mean that we don't pay attention to what's going on, but we just take it in on a different way. We don't feel connected to it. Just because something's going on, I don't feel the need to participate, but I'm still looking at it, but maybe just not as intensely as you guys. Yeah. And I'm not meal prepping all the time. I think that's I'm not clean. Okay, that's not true. I clean a lot, but I'm not.
Those jokes. Okay, so I have a question. If Sam doesn't have one.
Oh yeah, I do. I was just waiting for.
Oh no, go on, Karen. You go.
Just waiting for permission. And there you go. So I want to ask you, of all the epic animals, which one do you perceive to be most beneficial for your journey of you being Hannah in your life at this current moment in time?
Okay, so I'm gonna put the emphasis of this current moment in time. I think honestly it's SF consume, because I need to get in touch with my consume more, and because I'm very connected to the sensory, looking to SF consumes help me tap into the consume, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And how let me get my words right. How is that going for you right about now?
It's going super well. I how much do you want me to go into detail?
Like me, 25%.
Okay, I'm gonna try. So I found a new hobby, which is the most stereotypical SF sleep hobby, but it's still new to me, and that's my plants. I think it's such a stereotypical hobby. But I never cared about my plants. I always like fed them, but I never like really invested time in them. And I don't even remember what happened. Okay, now I'm already over the 25%. It's fine.
Can we ask what that hobby is, or is that too personal?
No, it's just my house plants. Like I'm learning about them, and I've repotted some of them, and just try to figure out how to take care of them, and getting really like world domination fantasies of I'm gonna like buy all the plants, and now I want to start to grow plants from my own seeds. That's my new endeavor, and I want to learn how to propagate them.
Oh. Oh. I love that. That's so cute.
So we can say that the plants are a new box that you're already opening up. Regarding your knowledge of yourself, do you think this is a box you will extend for the rest of your life, or it's a 10-year love box, or how does it work?
That's very interesting. So there's a lot of things that I try out to make boxes, but I end up abandoning them because I don't see them as practically useful. And so I don't know, like I've been really into cooking in the past, and for a year or so, and also into making bread with sourdough. And all of these things ended up taking up way too much of my mental capacity, but I didn't see how I could, like, I always need to scale things with the ST blast. I always need to find a way to expand and make the thing take over more of my life in a practical way. So I didn't really see how that would like help me. But I feel like the plants, like it's just I can see that the interest could grow more into the direction of general biology. And I would really like that. Like I think that's a nice interest to have, that I could learn a lot about, especially because I'm in sustainability and I'm not really usually dealing with living things. I'm more with trash and energy stuff. But you know, that could be a nice thing to also know more about. So yeah, could be an avenue for that to merge with my other interests.
So it might be a rest of the life thing.
It might be. You never really know.
We'll ask on the episode 2033 of Samuel, everything is planned for the next 10 years. I
can see the sweat bead coming from Sam's forehead.
Yeah, they're gonna have great grandkids.
Okay, I have another question, if that's okay with everyone else. God King. So this this one is a question from Reggie, so shout out again to the goat. To what extent do you agree with this statement? Sleep is about survival and self-protection. It means making things as easy as possible for you. It creates specific and measurable systems to protect and transform oneself. Now, this is a 25-mark question, so please include references and show you're working out.
Okay. I agree with this statement 100%, but I don't think that it's the entire story. I think that it's the core of what SF sleep is about, in my opinion, as of today, 22nd of January, just for the record. But I think that there's more to it. Like, I think that it really lends itself well to doing practical things, making them really aesthetically pleasing and functioning well, and scaling them. So it doesn't only have to be about, I don't want to die. How do I make not dying something really efficient? Which is kind of, it's important, but I hope that in Western society's life isn't all about that. And, or at least ideally it wouldn't be all about that. But, you could also like develop something, like you can use it in any, like I use it a lot in work because I have to do a lot of SI work, which even I hate. But I'm thinking a lot about the other people who have to do the work with me. And I'm constantly thinking, how do I make it easier for them so that they want to do it more with me? And that I'm like, this is where the DI energy is, that I'm someone in my competitive space where they feel like working with this person is easy because she makes the SI of it easy for me. So I want the entire experience to feel easy for them as well. Yeah.
That's great.
Do you have any more questions for Hannah? Or Hannah, is there something you want to share about your sleep?
Oh, why do I always have an answer? This is so annoying. Yeah. So I've been researching a lot because of the SF show on SF topics. Like I've been looking into things like the beauty industry, and just because I'm not really naturally too into these things, but I thought like it would be a good opportunity to research them. And I came across a diet culture and what is that called? Plastic surgery and all of these topics a lot. And I think that what the SF sleep is also good at is that maybe SF consume too, I'm not sure. I think that we pay a lot of attention to what's beautiful, but not in the sense of this is beautiful, this isn't, but whatever we have, what about that? The thing that we have is beautiful. And I really try to focus on that. So for anyone who feels like unhappy with the way they look or unhappy with how the things that they have look, I think that there is always, especially with people, everyone's beautiful if you look in the right way. So if you feel like if something's ugly to you, you just need to look at it in a different way. There's no such thing. And I think that's what we are also there for, is to bring the beauty out of things that where it isn't obvious. So I think that's where the purpose of the FI is of, I'm going to step outside the spectrum and enhance what is not yet in the spectrum, because I think there could be something valuable in there to bring to the spectrum. I think that's also what it is there for. Did it make any sense? I'm not sure.
So you're...
That's fine. I was just saying it makes sense. I see where she's coming from, because I compare everything on the SF spectrum. So it makes sense that I say it from a particular evolutionary point of view. There is going to be some asset to people focusing on things that are not tribe related. And then if it stands the test of time, it will go into the tribe, and then vice versa, recycles for the betterment of a human evolution. So that's how that framework.
It's a very simple mechanism behind it, as you said, Sam, before. It's just an evolutionary mechanism. For example, can I show you an example?
Yes, please.
I have this.
We love examples here.
This is my newest plant. Can you see it?
Oh.
I thought, like, I fell in love with this. I had an I saw this plant in the store, I think it's kind of ugly. And that's precisely why I love it so much. I'm like, this plant needs my love. I'm gonna be the one who love this plant.
Wow.
I think that's kind of how the SF sleep works too. Like we find something to get really attached to, and then we're like, I'm gonna love you until you're like thriving.
So the special blankie, right?
Yeah.
And what, yeah, okay, everyone is happy, and I'm going full Effie, I'm gonna make you cry. So what happens if your plant dies?
I thought about that a lot already, and I've only had it for a week. I think I'm gonna have to have a little funeral for it. Like that's a problem, right? Then yeah, you can't make the thing survive and then it dies, and then you're like, but this was like this was my
Would you want to get a new one, or is that like it's dead, it's dead?
No, I'm gonna get a new one. But it's gonna take me some time, and I'm gonna be like, look at other plants and be like, but the other one was better. I loved the other one. Yeah.
But it's so interesting that you are indeed getting ready for this moment, even if it doesn't happen. Like maybe
sure.
this plant will survive you, and it will invade your entire house and building and city and the world. Like you are feeding the end of the plant world.
Yeah.
By the way, this is Demon and E, guys. And so, but you're getting ready for everything that could happen, and you're preparing. Even if you know that you will not be able to get over those feelings.
Yeah.
But
I won't be surprised, you know.
Yeah. Who wants a new information you were not ready for? What? No.
I've got another question for you, if that's okay, Emmanuel.
Obviously. You're my guest today.
That's cool. So, what was the question? Yeah. Which SF animal do you perceive to be the most comfortable with? I have my guess of what I think it would be, but I'm curious to hear.
What's your guess? I think you're right.
Okay, I think it's going to be one of first. I think it's between the consume and the blast. However, I think
you have to choose.
I think it would be the blast.
Yeah, you're right. I knew that. I knew you were going to be right. Yeah, I think there is really something if you're on the same observer axis of a big similarity of how you experience the world around you. Yeah. And also, even though the SF blasters, they have ST sleep doesn't feel that foreign to me. So I don't feel like there's a big barrier. Yeah. It's just like one mutation. It feels like with me and Emmanuel, it's just one mutation, but that mutation is more of a help than it is really a barrier, you know.
That's interesting.
Do you think it's being able to look at things in a similar way as you said, it is still, and then because she's got the different decider axis, you're like, oh, I never thought about it that way, but because I see how about it just.
Yeah, because you have the same way of looking at the data, but then the way you make a conclusion out of that or the way you react is a little different. That makes it really easy to shift perspective, I feel like.
Okay, so but then when you're talking with someone such as, what are they called? Gammas? No.
Gammas is...
Also Emmanuel's, not Emmanuel's, Mary's quadra called again. Yeah, the...
Isn't it Gammas?
Yeah, it is
Gamma.
Yeah, it is Gamma. So when you're talking with her, what's that like? Because the observers are completely different.
These general abstract questions. What do you mean? Like, do you have
I'll give you
narrow it down?
Example. So effectively it's the same of what you said about Emmanuel. When I talk with people from the Gamma or Maria, so to speak, it's almost like, because we both live on the SC land, it's like, imagine you're driving in a car and you're driving at 100 miles per hour going down the motorway. You've got all this sensory running past you, and you're both kind of quick enough to go, yep, 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 yep. So you're always moving. So we don't get stuck, and the conversation is not necessarily boring, because it's not true that every SE I talk to is not boring, but it just kind of flows in the right way. However, when it goes into the decider axis, and then it goes into the FE and the FI, also because of the modality. So I guess I'm speaking about us. It's like my FE will naturally always want to bow down to her FI, and vice versa. So it's naturally smooth, and I think we just naturally get on. When I talk to you, it's very interesting because we always seem to have my NT sleep mode, and then you're just like curious.
Yeah.
Then it's more so in the case of you're poking at my NT sleep, but I enjoy it because I'm like, if you can't break my sleep, then my sleep stands tall. So that's for me.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Well, I don't have that much with the, what was it again now? Gamma Quadra. Like, I don't have these NT discussions, because to me, the blast, whatever the blast version of it is the least of it. So to me, NT blast is the least NT of all the NTs. Like, not to like you bitch about it, but you're not really NT to me, you people. Like, it's not really. But I think that we have a lot of, like, I understand the way that FIs think or feel rather, and that makes for a really interesting connection of how do you deal with some kind of an emotional situation, or how has because to FIs, life is a story of how my emotions changed or how my values changed, and that's a really deep, interesting conversation topic that I can have with Maria. I don't know if that answers the question, but it's not so much about the NT, I don't feel like.
Okay, and then the last one now is the beta quadra. So people from my area, how is that?
Oh, I just love the beta quadra people because of their NT sleep. It's so interesting to me. I think every NT is a bit distinct, and I just love seeing where people are at with it, and just because I don't really think I do the same as you do. And to me, I love just hearing when someone's really intricate with it, and most of the time I have an easier time understanding where you're coming from. I have the same with Uzair. I can understand him pretty well. And I think it's also like your chillness with the SF is really helpful for me sometimes to just snap out of my introvertedness and of my obsessiveness. It's really helpful to be light. So I don't know, like, but I don't know, people out in the wild, when I don't know sometimes where they are coming from, sometimes they can really cross me with the SF plan. I'm like, nope, this is like, what are you doing? Like, get out.
See.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm shutting you, Samuel, but we'll have so many more episodes where we could review all those questions left unanswered for many years to come.
You're breaking him out.
I know. I'm evil. Thank you, Hannah, for opening up the box of the SF sleep. It was very interesting, and we'll see how everyone think on it for the next episode, where you will be the host and you will be grilling me on the tribe. Everyone with the SF show, we salute you and hope you enjoyed this discussion with all of us, and see you next time. Bye, everyone. Whoop, whoop. Yeah. I'm the master. I am the one that is ruling this SF show.
Is it? I think Maria is just talking more loudly because she's getting nervous.
Hello? Does that sound better?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah,
what did you change? What did you do?
I changed. I clicked something, but I can't remember. I can't remember what I clicked, but I clicked something.
What the hell?
Don't touch anything else now. Leave it
I know.
like
Let
that.
me not mess up the juju.